why it's dangerous to not know who the worst version of yourself is. Welcome back, winning team, and this is part 2 where I'm breaking down to you guys about have you ever, the first video before this one I was talking about, have you ever considered who the worst version of yourself is, right? And we're talking about this for reasons I talk about in that. I don't want to make this I already talk really long, right? So let's just skip. If you want to know more about that, go for there, and why I believe it's important, and a little bit about my experiences, which I'm also going to get a bit more into in this. But in this video, I want to specifically talk about why it's dangerous not to know. Because as I said, and I'll just quickly recap slightly, that it's uncomfortable to look at the negative. The thing about us as humans, is I appreciate that it's uncomfortable to address the things about ourselves that we don't like, that are negative, and that we associate with certain types of emotions. And as much as I appreciate that, it doesn't actually help anything, right? Because if you, as I've said to you guys before, the things you ignore, they don't go away. They just grow like a cancer, and then you end up having to deal with them anyways. That's why I'm a believer in, things like healing and deliverance, all this stuff, like real healing, not the world's version, but I mean like really dealing with the thing, root, taking it out by the root. Because if not, those things, they just grow and fester. And you see this happen, like we kind of see these situations happening. Like the other day, we saw a perfect example of this. There was a guy, you guys would have seen if you saw the video. I was walking about as I do. And just as I was talking about, I can't remember what the video was titled. It was one of the ones about self-control. And there was a guy who was getting arrested, who ended up getting arrested. And basically he was like, I think drunk, and had been like spitting on people. And I was saying in that video, that as much as at that point he was no longer in control of himself, right? And I think using anything as an excuse, by the way, whether it's drugs, alcohol, your medication, your star sign, is not good. I don't think it's helpful, because a lot of times there's something deeper that needs to be addressed. You know what I mean? And if you don't address that thing, as much as you try to use other ways to deal with it, it still continues to grow. Hence why, as I was saying in the other video, the other day, I found out that now they've got a new method for how to deal with depression. This new ultrasounding the brain, whatever thing, doing some scan, not even a scan, like some kind of like putting some kind of waves into a certain part of your brain, because some people, their antidepressants are not strong enough, you know what I mean, to help. And I'm just like, maybe there's a deeper issue. It doesn't go away. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to deal with things and deal with them as soon as possible. That's why I think, right, people talk about repenting. I think a lot of people's concept of repentance is like, I'm going to tell myself I'm never going to do it again. And that's not my version of repentance. Because repenting really means to turn away. If you're going to turn away, right, what are you turning to? There's a question. Because I feel like, the reason we fail a lot of times is because once we see something ugly in ourselves, or we are uncomfortable in some way, we just want to hide away. Like similar to Adam and Eve, once they realize that they sinned or whatever, and their eyes were open, now they could see in the natural world, and they realized, oh, we messed up. The first thing they went to do was cover themselves, right? The first thing they went to do was cover themselves. And realistically, the first thing they should have done is go run straight to God and be like, oh my gosh, what have we done? We messed up. We're sorry. Like, what should we do? Because we're like, do you know what I mean? But instead they ran and hid. And I feel like that is what everybody does. Tries to either run and hide from the help that you could get, or run and hide from the problem, the thing, ignore it, right? Because that's what we do in society. A lot of society's version of things like forgiveness is, because we don't want to make the group situation uncomfortable, because you don't want to whatever. Forgiveness means you just forgive somebody, as in you never bring it up again. They never get held accountable for anything, and we just sweep everything under the carpet, right? Because we don't want to have to deal with what really, because my thing is, when I look at, like, say, my sins, for example, this is what I'm saying, ignoring the worst version of yourself isn't helpful, because the worst version of yourself is going to tell you what are the likely pitfalls you'll find yourself in. What are the things you might do, right? Because let's not forget, I haven't said it in a while, so say it now, that sin is, in Hebrew, is cher. It means to miss the mark. It means to like veer off the right path. So what I'm saying is, those things about you, when unchecked, they're going to arise anyway, and then you're going to take yourself off of the path that you want to be on without even thinking about it. And that, to me, is something I can't mess with. But what I'm trying to say here is I look at these things as if like, why was I doing that in the first place? And that's where getting to know the worst version of yourself is a good thing, because then you can figure out, is this something I need to actually remove from my whole personality? Is this something that's as a result of things I or others have done? Or is this something about me as a core person? And if it is, how do I pivot that in a better way? And I kind of do, this is kind of like how I look at it with kids, right? I'll give you an example. I have this phrase I like to use, which is, can we redirect the energy? Like, let's redirect your energy. So, for example, if kids are, in my opinion, like, let's say take a child who just can't sit still and is just up and about and up and about and up and about. It's so funny that it took all of science to then call these things ADHD to then come to the same thing that I would do instinctively, which is maybe this child's core personality is maybe they're an athlete, maybe they're a gymnast, maybe they're somebody who's going to be really good with their hands. So you know what I would do in those situations? I'll redirect the energy. Rather than me getting frustrated and them getting frustrated and no work getting done, how about let's just take a break for 20 minutes, get some fresh air, everybody go and like kick around the ball, do something active and proactive and burn them out a little bit. Because evidently, this is your core personality. That's why I love working with kids, right? Because I'm like, you can see people's core personalities, and we get further and further away from those the older we get, because then we start to overthink everything. And rather than being who we are, we be who we want people to think we are. We become who we want to think we are rather than who we actually are. You know what I mean? And that's a problem, because a lot of times that's heavily influenced by external entities, like the number one being society, where there's accepted ways of being and non-accepted ways of being. Going back to what I said, societally, we've just told that all kids somehow are all supposed to go into this system and all do the same and all do the same subjects and all whatever. And if you do well, then you're intelligent. If you don't, you're not. But then we look in a world, like I was earlier today, I was watching all these artists like just painting, and I had one of those I scrolled for like an hour of just people making stuff. Like people making things out of clay, people making things out of wood, people drawing, painting. I saw this one girl, she's a stonemason. I'm seeing people making jewelry, like, blowing glass. And I'm thinking, you mean to tell me that we are in a world where we're supposed to find these folks by putting them all through? It's not logical, but that's what we do in society. And that's why I think the older we get, the more we just become whatever's allowed, whatever gets us to the things that people want, like I said before, which is love and acceptance and whatever, as opposed to who you really are. But who you really are on your right path is your winning path. You have one winning path that you were built for. And this is where this becomes a problem, because sometimes when you do see the worst version of yourself and you meet with that person, I would love to be able to meet the worst version of me and have the worst version of me critique me, because I think that would be the best person ever to tell me. I was talking about this in the previous video, because this all started because this literally happened in the anime I'm currently watching, where now they're all fighting essentially the worst potential versions of themselves. Yeah, long story. Check out part 1 for that. And watching it has been fascinating, because you have they're like the same person, but just literally opposite at the same time. And it's really quite fascinating, because it just makes you think, doesn't it? And I think about that, because one of the thoughts I've been having off late is not who is that we shouldn't focus on who you think you are, but who you want to be, which for me is quite an interesting way of thinking, because I'm like, who actually do I want to be? Because the thing is, again, I feel like that's one of those questions, when you ask yourself that, you'll probably find your core values and who you are as a person, and the DNA of your soul, as I like to say, come to fruition. And these things, again, can be good or bad. So one of the core DNAs of my personality is I am somebody who's driven by two key things: fun and competition. I like winning. I think it's fun. I like the idea of setting a goal of something that seems absurd, and that's the only thing that drives me to do anything. That's why right now I'm not interested in doing anything, because the only things I'm interested in doing are the things that seem impossible. Always. And that's just always been the case with me. Always. That's just who I am. It's not what I'm trying to be. It's who I actually am. And also I like to have fun. So this is again where you can see two sides of all of these things. Competitive can mean so competitive that I do it the loser way, where I will cheat and lie and step on others and betray and manipulate to get to the top. Or competitive in the winning sense, where it's like, I want to win without all of that, because a real win means that I want to actually become the true, I don't care what everybody else thinks. I don't care if I get that. If I know internally I didn't earn it, it's not a win to me. Right? And to me, that's the real winning side of it. Not I stepped on this and I stepped on that. Well, so yeah, you get, because think about it. If you get, say, like, if you get like a trophy, if you get like a certificate, if you get a job promotion or whatever you get, if the only reason you got it is because you lied, manipulated, betrayed, stole, whatever, compromised on your morals and values, that says a lot about you, in my opinion, because it says you just care more about the external validation you're going to get from it. Because deep down, it's a lie. This is what I'm saying. It's good to just address that. Because if that is how you feel and you realize, oh my gosh, you know what? That's true. That's your moment when you say, you know what is something I want to actually achieve, that I want to do for myself, so that I go home and I feel content within who I am, and not and why do I always want to do things for the sake of external validation? Because maybe there's something missing there. Now, I would say that it's probably God, because I do think that the fact I've had such a close relationship with God throughout my entire life, he was always there. It's kind of, in a weird sense, it's almost like there was a void. The void was kind of already filled. And I think that's good, but it also has a negatives, which is that now I'm struggling to actually build relationships because I don't need them. Like, I don't need people to love me. Like, I don't need it. You know what I mean? I don't need people to like me. I don't need it. I don't need to be seen to achieve anything in front of everybody else. I don't need it. Some of those things I would like, it would be nice. It's like I'm at the stage where I was like, you know what, it would be nice, but it's not necessary. You know what I mean? And so that's why I think that's the only thing that really feels that. But without coming to terms with that, like, why do you care? Because I had somebody actually say that to me. It was like, you care too much what people think. And I thought, that's a really good point. Because as soon as they said that, which again, like I said, it's uncomfortable to hear something sometimes, but sometimes it's good, because then I went to myself, rather than being like, what do you mean I don't care too much? I don't care what anybody thinks, and lie to myself and live in delusion. I had to ask myself, why do I actually care? Because you know what that led me to? It led me to the realization, that was so stupid, because how can I care about the opinions of people I don't respect anyway? I don't know you. And if I know you, the chances are I don't respect you anyway. So why do I care? And even if I don't, even let's say if I respect you or whatever, a lot of people, they're not even respectable. This is why things like fame don't interest me, or like adoration, because I'm getting adoration from the riffraff. I'm getting admiration from people who I don't even respect. So yay, I got respect from people that this doesn't make any sense. And it might sound like a harsh thing to say, but it's actually extremely freeing to me, because that means I now have even more opportunities to win, because now those things aren't holding me back like chains, or swerving me off the right path, because I'm trying to make sure that, I got all this from everyone. But I have to also appreciate, like I said, there's positives and there's negatives to it. It's like the same thing, like I said, about, having fun. There's a version of me that would love to have fun, that would do it at the expense of others, which I touched on the other side, which would be fun. Because again, I find people to be really dumb and stupid. I find everybody to be wet wipes and weak and so needy, of just in need of this and need of that. And it's like how, this is why, like, I hate to say it, yeah, but I find it really annoying, when people like are hurt by others, because I'm like, why do you care so much? Like, oh, you don't understand how that made me feel. Like, this, I was talking about the whole Mean Girls thing, because I just got a new notebook, as I showed you guys, which I put my first note in there. And if you want to know why I chose Mean Girls, you're gonna have to, this book in particular, you can go and check it out. But I'm gonna say something about it now. And I was saying to you that I've never understood. Well, I didn't say that in that video, so I guess I'll say it now. I've never understood caring so much, like in the school setting again and again. Why do we all put kids through school when we all know bullies are there? So I'm saying this stuff doesn't make any sense. This world is very illogical for how much pride people have. But anyway, I don't understand caring so much about what the person, like, I remember at school, one girl saying to me once upon a time, and at school we were in drama, and she goes, I don't know why anybody's even bothering this, because it's not like any of us are gonna get anywhere anyway. And I remember thinking to myself, oh, you're one less person I have to worry about along the way. That's one more opportunity that's opened up just because you're not even gonna try. Like, it's like if somebody says something horrible about me, like, oh no, oh my gosh, I care so much what you think. Why do you care? Why do you care? It's because we've been taught that way. You know why? Because we're in a world of losers. And in the losing world, and as a loser, you have to care what everybody thinks. Because you know why? It's the dumbest thing ever. Because it'll just have you running around trying to be who everybody is acceptable and do this, and you're never going to win with that. It's just going to exhaust you. Hence why I think so many people suffer with things that called like social anxiety, which I've realized I don't even really have social anxiety. And the irony is, when you actually just take those layers away, some people would be like, oh, I could never go to eat by myself because of my social anxiety. First of all, no one gives a crap. Second of all, it's so much fun. You get to have a meal out. You get to listen in on everybody's conversations, watch what everybody's doing, eat at whatever speed you want. It's amazing. But people are like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. But it's like, why do you care? You know, because then you also miss out on opportunities. Because sometimes, because I'm out by myself, sometimes I do end up doing fun things because somebody randomly, spontaneously is like, hey, I notice you're by yourself. I notice you're by yourself. Do you want to such and such? Do you want to such and such? YOLO, why not? Actually, I don't mind. You know what I mean? Or another thing, because of me and I'm me, every now and then I forget when I'm going out in the middle of the day, I'm listening to music, I forget that I'm in public and start dancing in public. And it's actually it's not embarrassing. And I'll tell you why it's not. It's really funny that this happens all the time. People will start dancing as well. They can't hear the music. It's in my headphones. People will start dancing as well. And this is what I'm saying, when it's like sometimes you're just encasing yourself from what the greater things in life, you know. So the fun of me that would take fun in, you know. So I'm like, this is so much fun. Like, I get to talk to everyone. I guess like people are joining in. I remember there was one day I was just dancing. It was like a really nice hot day. There was a whole van of these guys in the van, and they were all dancing along. There's like an old person's all dance. There's kids getting involved, and then there'll always be the teenagers like, oh my gosh, what the hell is she doing over there? And I'm like, oh my gosh, imagine being a teenage boy and being so annoying. Like, you know, I don't care. Like, I actually do stuff like that. Like, who cares? Who cares? You know what I mean? Who cares? And it's fun. And I'm having fun. Like, I'm actually having fun doing stuff that people would think, oh my gosh, I have too much social anxiety to do stuff like that. I could never do that. You know what I mean? But then you're all like looking sad over there. Oh, I'm having the time of my life. You know what I mean? I'm having the time of my life, all for a bit of fun, all for taking... We'll never forget this guy, yeah? A perfect example. I used to work, he was a COO at the company, and his brother was a CEO, and his brother is a great businessman. Very, very money driven, in the sense of like, really, like, if you don't stand your ground, he will really take advantage of you financially. His own staff and even his own brother. So I remember one day his brother like made fun of me because I came into the office and I was playing Pokemon Go, which I told you guys I used to play Pokemon in London all the time because I'm in London and I'm at the city. Everywhere's a Pokestop, everywhere's a gym. It's fun. I'm on the bus or I'm in the whatever. I'm having fun. I've got myself a nice cold beverage. I'm sitting at the top at the front of the double-decker buses in London. I get to see all the things. I'm having fun on my way to work. I was having the time of my life. I walk in and the guy's like, oh my gosh, you're like an adult and you're playing Pokemon Go? It's like, yeah, of course I am, because I'm having fun. But you know the reality of him? The gag is, his brother didn't respect him at all. He was basically just the COO because they were brothers, but his brother didn't really entrust him to do anything. And he would always try to bring up these like initiatives and ideas, and they would never come to fruition. He could never fulfill something. He was always off in the clouds. He was so completely unreliable. And like, it would be you, the person who has nothing to be proud of within yourself, to laugh at me for playing Pokemon Go, but I can, boo, because guess what? I'm here. I'm working in your company. I'm getting paid more than you to come here one day a week only, and you work all week. I'm dictated the times that I come here. I come to the office as and when I want to. I still get free money and free food. I managed to negotiate with your brother to pay me double what I was being paid, and then I get to go home and enjoy myself. I'm in this way as much as I want to be and when I don't want to be. And this hasn't got my name on it. I'm thriving, mate. I don't care what you have to say. Like, I don't care. And you're just a COO just because you were given the title, because your brother probably feels sorry for you. And part of the reason your brother is the way he is, honestly, I kind of get it now, because you're kind of the proof. I'm like, you know what, low-key, I understand why he's the way he is, because somebody's got to, like, get everything together. And you're supposed to be the chief operating officer. and you don't even know how to operate your own life. Like, it's just crazy. And this is what I mean by these types of things. But then, like I said, with the fun thing, there's also the other side where the evil side of me, like I said, I would be playing cat and mouse with everyone. Like, I would be just taking advantage of how stupid everybody is for the fun of it. For the actual fun of it. Like, for the actual fun of it, I'll just be stirring the pot. I'll just be doing stuff. I'll just be creating chaos and havoc and then playing innocent. I'll do the Ariana Grande of it all. Oh my gosh, I'm just wasting away and I'm just like fragile or whatever. And then I'm going to go and cause a man who just had a baby to leave his woman, and then I'm going to take him and be with him for all of 3 years while we're all doing Wicked, and we're going to get this press, and I'm going to drop him like a hot potato back into this situation that I absolutely destroyed, and then I'm going to start a tour. I'm going to do my Eternal Sunshine tour. Everybody's still going to love me, and they're going to completely forget because I'm going to just play the like innocent again. Like, I would eat that up. I would eat that up. Cause chaos, and then I will have kids. I wouldn't hesitate to have children, by the way, because then I could do the same thing that a lot of parents do today. Oh, but guys, as a mother, I was doing my best. You I'm going through, like, knowing full-blown well I'm not. Knowing full-blown well that I'm not. Knowing full-blown. Because I know I'll get away with it, and I'll have fun with it. The thing is, I don't think I would actually do that. I think I would still love the children because I'm that kind of person. I think either way, I just don't think that was ever in my wheelhouse, because I think part of my core values is my love for children and just, how I see them. And I think, again, that comes from the fact of how God is with me. And again, throughout my life, and like as much as I work with kids all the time, the thought comes into my head, wow, this is how God is with me. Wow, this is how God is with me. So then again, maybe if I never knew the Lord, but we'll never know. But, I would play, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? I'll become the lovely wife. I'll get married, I'll be a pastor's wife. Ooh, that would be so good, a pastor's wife. I'll be the pastor's wife. I'll become a pastor's wife. I'll be all happy with the people. I'll host a women's conference, and I'll intentionally teach the wrong things. I'll be like, God, ladies, God just wanted to say that in the scriptures, I just had a revelation this morning while I was on my prayer walk, and I was just spending time with the Lord, singing Amazing Grace while I thought about how amazing His grace is. And the Lord pressed upon me that He wants to do a new thing. He wants to do a new thing. Women are now the heads of the household. Can I get it? I'll start teaching nonsense just to laugh at it, just so that I could tape it all, go home at the end of the night, put on a nice red silk robe with fluffy rims around it, a nice little pointed kitten heel, right? And sit at home with a nice cold beverage, right? Probably like a Bloody Mary. I love a Bloody Mary. And cackle with laughter at how stupid everybody is. That would be my version of fun over there. You know what I mean? And I'm just, it's okay, babe. I know you're gay. Just do what you want to do. We'll just keep up this facade together, shall we? You just do your thing and I just do my thing, right? You have your side of the house. I have my side of the house. I won't bother you. You don't bother me. And we'll just go and play the character. And we'll just go and rinse these buffoons for everything they have. This is why I said to you guys, it's good to address this, because this is why, A, I can spot the fakes and phonies from far off, because I actually address what would be the worst version of myself. And B, this is why I can see that when I see them, I'm like, oh, I know this playbook because I've been given those opportunities and I've chosen not to take them. And rather than being like, oh, or taking them and then repackaging it in my head in delusion and being like, oh no, I did this, but I just thought I was doing the right. Shut up. Be honest with yourself. It's heinous. Like, so double down and accept who you are. Because otherwise, and this is the real big danger, the biggest one potentially, is, I'm having so many ideas. I'm thinking, if not that, I'm thinking of ways I could create havoc in the kingdom. If not the pastor's wife, I'll become like this, like, I'll call myself like prophet something, and I'll become a seductress, and I'll be like, listen, I know this is not normal, but this is the ritual. This is the prayer ritual. This is the ceremony that the Lord placed upon me in order for you to become whatever. And I'll just be just wreaking havoc, just doing the most sinful things, getting people to do the most sinful things, and convincing them that this is how you're going to get the power of God for the fun of it. This is why I'm saying, and that's what I'm saying when I say, do you see how the difference is? And this is it. Me in the kingdom, Pokemon Go. I'm here playing this new game I've been playing, watching anime, going out for walks, talking to you guys. Over there, oh, I'll be wreaking havoc. Science, oh, don't even get me started. Guys, please, if you could just give just £2 a month, so that we're literally, if we continue now and we all give £2 a month, by 2035, we will have solved world hunger. If it's just £2 a month, and then get, the sad music, all the stuff we see in the charities. Meanwhile, when those cash checks is coming in, I wonder if we can create, you know what I mean? I'll be doing the most heinous things, and I'll be capitalizing off of everything that's happening in society right now, like people's insecurities. I will triple down. I'll make the steroid version of GLP-1s. I'll make the weight loss medication where you wake up tomorrow. You wake up tomorrow at size 0. Do you know what I'm saying? I will triple down on people's insecurities. I'll find every little thing that anybody feels insecure about, and I'll find some kind of scientific thing. I'll go into the food, and I'll be like, oh, I wonder how many. I would wreak havoc. And you know why? For the fun of it. For that reason. Not because I hate people, not because I'm vindictive, because I'm just not that kind of person. Because like I said, certain feelings, I'm just like, it's giving loser energy. I don't like things having power over me. So that would be the truth of whether I was in the kingdom of darkness or the kingdom of heaven. I don't like things having control over me. That's why I don't like to I don't like to be driven by this feeling. Like I was saying about this loser in the show I was watching, and he was like, his father was killed, and his whole life, all he ever thought about for the rest of forever was killing the guy that killed his dad. And then when he was super powerful, he could have actually done things and whatever. He then finally gets to try and kill the guy who killed his dad. He ends up getting killed, and it all ended in nothing. And then he's going to go to the shadow realm and see his dad. And his dad's going to be like, you wasted your entire life trying to get vengeance, and you were that powerful. You could have done something. You could have made our name mean something, and now this is how we went out, because you were overcome with vengeance. It's not for me. So the same way, it's like jealousy. I spend my entire life, I spend my time. Listen, me watching this anime, me playing games, me going out and me staring at a brick wall, yeah, is better use of my time than, oh my gosh, I wonder what so-and-so's doing who I don't like. Oh my gosh, I'm going to wreck their life. What lies can I make up I'm going to make up lies, and just so pathetic. Imagine being a fan and being confused. If I'm going to be a fan, I'm going to be a fan. Like, I'm a fan of the Sidemen. You guys know I've been talking about how I'm going through the divorce. I'm very much still going through it. If I'm going to like people, I'm going to like them with my chest. If I'm going to be paying attention to them, it's going to be for positive reasonings. And if I'm going to be paying attention, but this is why, even when I'm talking to you guys about people like Chris Jenner, all this, I am always the information always finds me. I don't find it, it finds me. Like, I'll tell you another piece of information that always finds me that I don't want. Taylor Swift's wedding. Couldn't care less. Oh my gosh. The news, Madison Square Garden, this is rumored that this is where Taylor Swift's having the wedding. People on the news are talking about, like, are we really for real right now? So this is why I be knowing about this stuff, because it just be, or somebody like, oh my gosh, did you hear? Like, this is why I don't like talking to people either, because people be telling me the absolute biggest load of nonsense. Did you know that Kim Kardashian's with Lewis Hamilton now? And apparently Kylie is pregnant with Timothy Chalamet. Who cares? But then this is how I find out about stuff a lot of times. And then, of course, because I have to be wise, I'm in the world. It would be stupid. I'm not going to be one of these brain dead Christians who's like, I'm so detached from the world. I don't know what's going on. Meanwhile, you're going into work in the world. Your child is growing up in the world. I got to know what's happening in the world. So every now and then, you guys know I do my little dip into the cesspool to see what's swimming around before I come back to the cleansing and ascend back into the clouds. But yeah, I'm like, people I don't like, I don't pay attention to. Like, things I don't like, I don't pay attention to. That's loser energy. That's why I find it so fascinating. Like, and this is another thing that actually makes me laugh. I find fascinating when being on social media, especially. I love reading people who are angered, so angered, and are just writing hate under people's stuff where they could have just skipped on. And I take so much enjoyment in biting the bait and getting back at them. It is so much fun because they're so angry and they're so this. And meanwhile, I'm here crying out. I can barely see the screen because of how funny it is for you loser to be here with no one seeing you and know who you are, writing hate, right? Bearing in mind, I'm doing these comments, it's on YouTube, it's on this same channel. I'm like, they go to my channel. This is funny because I go and check their channel sometimes and I'm like, of course, there's nothing here. It's so funny because I know that they're enraged and anger. Like, imagine living in rage, guys. I like to be peaceful. I like peace. So why am I saying all of this? Because of what I said already. Can you see that if you don't acknowledge, you first of all, you're missing a gameplay. Because like I said, because I know what I would be doing if I was on the other side, when I'm seeing stuff, I'm like, oh, I know this game. You're not gonna fool me with the, this is the innocent, whatever, loving mother acts of Kris Jenner and people like her. You're not gonna convince me. But then also, the world isn't gonna convince me. The average person, when everyone's all the goody good, everyone thinks they're such a good person. But then there's so much more bad happening than there is good. We're all surprised by the concept of a good, like, oh, we need more people like that in the world. Wow, that person did a good deed. Wow, like, we need more of this, we need more of that. Why are we surprised? I thought we were all good. I thought everybody was good. Exactly. You don't want to address the fact. You know it's not the case. Because even you yourself, by saying we need more people like that, you are now signing yourself off of being the person. Exactly. So that's the evil part of you don't want to think about, which is you don't want to you want to benefit from the good things, but you don't want to be the contributor to good things. Everybody wants to be saved, but no one still wants to be a savior. How many times do I say that? I might have to actually come back and do an entire video on that alone. And you know what? I will. The hill, I got free will. So anyways, I hope you guys can see the dangers, because with all this stuff, all that happens is you then become the author of your own destruction, like I said. Because you either going to fall susceptible to it anyway, because you're ignoring it, but you're still displaying it, and then eventually it consumes you, right? Or you start to repackage it, and this is why I think a lot of people are like so confused as to how their life turned out, or so confused why bad things are happening, or so confused. Yeah, because you're not prepared to deal with the uncomfortable thing. That's why. Because you're not prepared, and then therefore you don't know yourself. And can I tell you who knows us better than ourselves? The spiritual world. The spiritual world. So this is why I'm like, I have to learn things, because the enemy is going to use against me what will work with me. That's why I say I keep myself to myself, because what will work with me isn't somebody, whatever's all these things that people have tried. What will work with me, and I can see it because over time, I notice that this is the devil knowing he's offering me exactly what would trip me up. And I've had to learn that skill of like, and I'm still working on it, very much still a work in progress, of like certain times and certain things happen. And I'm like, whoa, I have to let the degrees of temptation that I feel show to me that rather than ignoring it or pretending it's not there, that is the moment where I'm like, no, now you especially lock in. Like, because I'm aware of it, it actually gives me more strength to lock in, not to get involved. Because I'm like, oh, this is like personalized, customized for you to trip you up. And you're susceptible to this. Don't go and pretend you're not. Don't go and be like, oh, I'm going to just conquer everything. No, you're not. No, you're not. None of us are. If we could have, we would have. And we don't. This is why we needed Jesus to do it. Right? So then I know now, sometimes when things happen, I'll get like a feeling, and it's like, it's almost as if I feel like all these eyes looking at me, like at the same time, where I'm like, oh, this is one of those. Because there's these moments, right, where we do things, we're humans, we mess up, we do whatever. And then there's some moments where, the same way that God has, in righteousness, there's certain moments where God is counting on us in that particular moment to do what needs doing. The devil has those moments as well, where he's like, oh, this is my moment of a large scale derailment of your life for this. And that's the real danger, because you then won't realize when that moment is happening, because you'll just be like, oh, no, I'm fine. And then the devil's like, it's not right. It's not right. Right. Come here. What about with this? And this is why, like I said to you guys, the last 5 years, where I've been doing this with the Lord, I'll tell you something. The temptations, they only heat up even higher. The heat only gets hotter. And it gets to the point where I start laughing about it, because I'm just like, well, ain't no way. Because I'll be just, here minding my business. I'm nowhere to be found, and I'm not around anyone. And somehow everything I could ever ask for, always on the days when I'm feeling the lowest in mood, the lowest in my, just like, God, when is it? Always at that moment. And then somehow and it'll always be so overly specific to something I specifically want to do that I was like, for example, actually, I don't want to give the example. There's something that happened recently, and I was like, ah! And I keep giving up these opportunities because I'm like, I know that I'm just not supposed to be a part of it. And it's always worse, by the way, when you knew, but then you did it anyway, than when you weren't sure. Because sometimes, a lot of times, when you're not sure, God's allowing it for a reason. But when you knew and then you just didn't, then it's like, what can God do then? That's your free will, isn't it? That's your free will. And that's why I'm like, better you just accept that, yeah, me with my free will, I have to actually use it and choose the right thing. And I have to be aware that I'm capable of the worst thing. That's why I always say to you guys, I know why people talk about people that do certain things, like, oh my gosh, a murderer over there. You technically have the capability to murder. You technically can. You're choosing not to, and that's okay to say. And you may believe you never will, and you may never. You probably never will, right? It's not about whether you will. It's about the fact that you are capable. And that's what I'm saying. You need to be aware that we are all technically capable of the worst. And by not acknowledging that we are capable, we then are not like gaining the wisdom to make sure we don't get caught up somewhere we don't want to be. That's why I ask myself questions like, how much would it cost me for this? How much money what would I give up for this? That, you have to ask yourself those questions so that you don't then, because I think a lot of people, in the moment get caught up not realizing, oh, I would never do this. People be like, oh, how could anyone hurt a child? All these people who turned a blind eye to all the things that have happened to all these kids throughout the years, right? But then you think, I would never hurt a child if ever, whatever. How come nobody said anything? You're there, and now you get offered 10 million right when you got medical bills, right when your family's struggling, right when you just got you were fired from your job. Now all of a sudden you're doing it, right? And the reason why I bring up these types of examples is because in the moment, you might be like, hey, you know what? This is worth it. I'm struggling. And because you never thought you would, you just took it and you kind of just ignored it. And like, this is like your one bad thing. But what you maybe didn't realize in doing that, and later on, you'll pay the consequences when 10 years, 15 years later, you don't realize that thing that you did that one day, you were the one person who could have had the evidence that would bust the whole case for hundreds of thousands of kids. And you might look back and be like, maybe I should have just said, I wish I had said no. That 10 million didn't even go that far. Or that 10 million wasn't even whatever, because I still ended up having more medical bills because of whatever. Or because I ended up getting a new job the next day anyway. Because again, that's another thing that the devil does. The devil will make you an offer the day before God will. And he does it intentionally. Because like, let me try and get you out before the Lord does what the Lord is doing. And then, this is what I'm saying. This is a classic thing to do with sin and temptation, isn't it? Everything sounds fun in the moment. But then when you deal with the aftermath, there's so many things we've all done. And we look back and we go, you know what? That was so not worth it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why I'm like, this is the dangers of not knowing. Be aware of who the worst version of you is. Be aware so that you can meet that person and you can be like, okay, you can gauge yourself, right? And then also, like I said, the other thing is there are going to be some characteristics that you might not like about that person, but that you can use for good. Because like I said, me being spontaneous and whatever, this happened the other day. Where was I? It happens to me all the time because I'm really good under pressure. So where a lot of people, they panic at the last minute or with quick changes, I thrive under those circumstances. So on the one hand, me being impulsive, spontaneous, and just, can be a negative for a lot of things. In other situations, like if something's going wrong, I'm trying to remember, there was an exact scenario. If something's going wrong, I'm quick to be like, okay, you do this, you do that, like in the middle of the, like just off the top of my head immediately in the moment. And so I need to focus, like I said, about redirecting my energy. I need to redirect my energy to where do I need to be and in what situations do I need to be in where that can be used for good. And in what situations could I or have I used those for bad? Because that most definitely has also happened. That's for sure. Because I'm always the instigator. But then it's good to also to be an instigator in other aspects. You know what I mean? Because then it's like I said about the revolution, I'm like, it might just have to be me. I didn't want it to be, but it might just have to be me. That's gonna be a good thing. But instigating things in the kingdom of darkness, like, hey, everybody, let's all do this that we're not supposed to be doing. you know, or like some of these other people, what they're doing on the internet, some of these fakes and phonies and these liars just spreading just nonsense. You know what I mean? I could be making videos talking about, guys, if somebody hurts you, here's how to do a spell. And this is do you know what I mean? Like, here's how to do a spell. Have you ever been betrayed before? Here's how to do a spell to such and such and such and such and such to ruin people's lives, to ruin your enemies' lives. Do you know how easy? Do you know how successful I'd be in this world? And that should tell you enough. The fact that the people who do crazy stuff, the fact that people who do evil stuff are the ones who are successful should tell you everything you need to know about how the world operates. And on that note, if life is a game, let's play to win. I may or may not be back. Who knows? But I hope this has been good. I hope this has been fun. God bless you all. God loves you. I love you. Don't forget to check out part 1. And I'll see you in my next one.